I'll start looking like it's rolling. It's rolling. Go.
Okay, it is 6:30. I'll call the Town of Oregon Board meeting to order at 1138 Union Road, Oregon, Wisconsin, Tuesday, July 6th, 2021. Take a roll call.
Yes. Wayne Ace.
Here.
Arlen Christensen.
Here.
Fred Clark.
Here.
Jason Marshall.
Here.
Kate Ladding. Here.
Thank you. Approval of minutes.
Move
Thank
to
you, Joe.
approve.
Got a motion from Arlen to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Fred. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 4 is the financial report.
I move to accept the financial report as presented.
Got a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Kate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5 is public comments. That would be anybody in the audience having to speak about that is not on the agenda. Anybody in the audience to speak about anything that's not on the agenda? Yes, ma'am. Please say your name and your address, please.
Sure. Should I stand or?
Either way.
All right. I'm Darcel Tash and Kraus. I live on Sun Valley Parkway, 6157 Sun Valley. And then this is my first meeting, so I'm happy to be here. And I wanted to come. I've been thinking about this for a while, and it's regarding the speed limit on Sun Valley Parkway. Right now, it's 45 miles per hour, and certainly things have changed over the years. I've lived on and off on Sun Valley for almost all my 57 years, and I knew it when it was Dwayne Miller's farm across the road from my parents. I used to drive my parents' tractor on the road, and it was a quiet little country venue, and it was formerly known as Sunset Road, of course, but certainly times have changed over the years. Hampton Hills has gone in, Raven Oaks, and a lot of houses have come, recreational use has increased, a lot of bicycles, walkers, joggers, and I want to propose or request that it be placed on the agenda that be considered to lower the speed limit on Sun Valley. Right now it's 45 miles per hour. I had in mind 35 miles per hour. I don't know that 40 would make a huge difference, but there are many blind spots, blind hills, blind curves on that road. People who drive 45 almost can't make the curve right below our house, between 6157 Sun Valley and Hampton Hills entrance. There was a woman just in the winter who missed the curve, went plowing into our property on the south side of the road, took out a bunch of bushes, thinking this was a tree, but she said she wasn't familiar with the road and she missed the curve, and she probably was going the speed limit, 45 miles per hour. Of course, several years ago, Jim Rowe died in that same spot, and he hit a tree. But there's also many deer trails at the top of the hill, right by our driveway at 6157. A lot of deer cross. I had just turned out of our driveway, headed down the road at 30 miles per hour, and a deer rolled across the hood of my car. I see them all the time, and neighbors warn their new drivers in the family to watch out for those deer trails, because they are there all the time. So yes, I'd ask that the board respectfully consider the thought of reducing the speed limit on Sun Valley for safety reasons, from 45 miles per hour to 35 if possible. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
I did go out and look at that, and when you're coming from the west going east, there is a current sign up there that's yellow and black that says 35, but it's kind of blocked. And there is not one going from the east going west. So my thoughts were we could put one down, like where that house just got remodeled, and then get the other one cleared up and then see if that helps, or else move it up a little closer to that curve and put them 235s a little closer together, and that might help. Dropping the whole road down to 35 is a challenge. We have to go through a speed study, and it's expensive. And we did that on Hillcrest, we were gonna do it on Hillcrest, but the county came out and told us that there wasn't enough traffic there to do it when Susan Kresbach was looking at putting in a subdivision. And that's a huge subdivision over there with a lot of cars. So I'm guessing this probably wouldn't qualify either to lower it. But we can try the yellow signs and see how that works and keep you posted if it helps.
It's a thought, and, comparing the speed limit, I know it's suggested 35, but to have 45 on Sun Valley and then 45 on Lincoln, it just seemed like such different roads, but yeah, we could certainly try it, I appreciate that.
Anybody else got anything else? Any thoughts?
I kind of agree, because I drive on that all the time. In fact, when I was driving here tonight, I never go 45, because I don't think you can.
You really can.
So we'll see if that helps, and then keep me posted. All right, thank you. Can you state your name and address, sir?
Brian Duffin, 232 Tipperary. What is the state speed limit on that road?
The state speed limit?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I couldn't tell. It's a 45 right now.
Are you sure of that?
Nope.
I think it's 55.
It could be 55 and we turned it down to 45?
I think it's illegally posted, actually.
What's that?
I think it's illegally posted.
You may very well be right. You may very well be right. But we can do the 35 on curves like that and put a 35 yellow and black up. That we can do. But you might be right on the 55.
Well, I think there are a number of other roads in the township that are 45s posted that are actually 55. And we're gonna have trouble with this ATV stuff if that goes forward, as far as being illegally stricter than state statute on the speed limits. So, just so you keep that in mind.
Okay. Were you gonna say something, Larry, about speed?
I was. Although 55 is the default speed limit, people will know this, I'm sure, there is a provision in the speed limit law that strangely bases speed limit based on the number of houses within a quarter mile along the road, as if you're supposed to be able to count the houses as you're driving along. But basically, if there's more houses in a quarter mile distances, a subsection of 34657, I don't recall it off the top of my head, then the statutory speed limit becomes 45 automatic. So it's obviously something that has to be examined. You couldn't just change it, otherwise, as you say, you need a speed study. But it's possible that it might qualify for that other reason.
I'll check into that, see what that number is.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item 6, recommendation from Plan Commission. Arlen, discussion of possible approval of land division rezone request for Patrick Rundy.
And it was okayed by the planning commission. Pat might want to tell everybody what's going on there so that everybody knows. Pat?
Okay, thank you.
Look at you. I don't have anything to say.
Except thank you. My wife and I moved out to this area in 1971. Bought the farm that Bob and Helen Schultz had. 120 acres. Needed a place for my horse. That's a different story. But we've had a wonderful experience in creating some lots out there. And there's just 2 areas of the land left. And we're selling both of them. This one, 6.35
acres is up on top of a hill, and it's really not accessible except by going through these people's property, because there's only one lane up there, and it's gravel. And both for safety reasons and privacy, it makes good sense to just put this little extra 6+ acres, attach it to their lot. And that's what we do. And they've been living there now for more than 10 years. And they take great care of the property. So we just try to accommodate them by letting them, nothing else could be built on it. It's not good for anything. We're not asking for any of that, neither are they.
Sure.
So it's just a land transfer. Really.
Yep.
John
Any
McCormick
questions?
used to call it.
Okay. Anybody got any questions as of the plan commission? So, Jason,
No, I agree, I know where he's going.
Arlen, you were in the plan commission. Fred?
I agree, that makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me
Okay.
too.
Okay. You have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the petition DCPREZ 2021-11728 for Patrick Grundy.
Got a motion from Arlen. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Fred. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You're all done, so if you don't want to sit down, you can go if you want. You're all done.
Thank you.
Start this
You just don't want me to waste your time when I'm trying to get off. I understand that.
Have a good night.
Thank you, folks. You've always been nice people.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
We can go out.
Want to sit down, have to back up.
What a nice guy, huh?
Okay, 6B, discuss and possible approval. Add a referendum question to the November 22nd ballot regarding the use of ATV, UTV on town roads. Plan commission motion carried 6-1. We had some discussion last month about this. Arlen, did you want to discuss more about it, or?
Well, we have you see the letter we've all read from the attorney from a ATV club, that some of these questions are answered that we were wondering about. As far as this add to referendum, that shouldn't be read there, because this should be, I mean, I think the club is in favor of going ahead right now. And I think that's the way that,
Our club is ready to go ahead with what?
go ahead with the club okaying the roads to be opened.
So we haven't done any check to see which roads are safe?
You haven't done
We
any
don't-
what?
We haven't checked anybody to see if the roads are safe. We've heard from our insurance company that if we were sued, if we don't follow our attorney, they would not represent us. What about all those concerns? I don't
Okay.
help me to understand why you're not concerned about some of that
Well,
stuff.
I'm not, because here, 2 weeks from now, you're bringing 150 bikes into the township, and we're not worried about that. A car hits a sign, you're not worried about that.
The
Why would
bikes
you
are
be-
already allowed on the roads?
Bikes
It's part
are-
of, yes.
150 bikes are allowed on the road without, nobody saying anything, huh?
I think that's to make money for the Boys and Girls Club.
Here, did you see the route that they're taking?
Yeah,
I-
it's because of
I'm getting
A.
way
It's
off it.
because of A. But anyway, help me to understand why you want to push this through when you know that the majority of the people in our town don't want it.
I
You're
don't
not
know
willing
that,
to
I
let
don't
it-
know a majority don't want it.
Okay, well, let's let it go to a referendum and then find out. That's the only fair thing. I was hired, I wrote it down here and I wanted to share it. The ethics of being on this board. Learn how to spot and avoid conflicts between your personal interests and your public responsibility.
Okay.
Our responsibility is to the whole public, not just a small group of people. Robert's rules, surrender personal desires for the good of the whole. Now, these are the facts. This is why we're elected. This is why we're here. We're to represent everyone, and that's what the referendum will
That's
give
what I'm
us a
trying to do,
chance
is
to do.
represent the bunch that want to ride these roads.
You're a small portion.
How do you know that?
Well, we'll find out with the referendum.
Pardon?
So you wanna, you don't wanna go through a referendum?
I'll make a motion that we accept that, the ordinance they put ahead of us and, go ahead with a one-year trial and open after they get the signs all up.
I don't think we can do that with the way our
No.
agenda reads, can we?
No.
And that's
Okay,
why-
we're gonna
that's
let
why
our
I told-
attorney talk. He knows
That's
the
why I
facts.
told you last week, I wanted this on this week. I made the motion, you said I don't need a motion.
Well, Jennifer read back what the question was gonna be. Jennifer made the question. Jennifer made what the motion was gonna be. I mean, I just, our plan commission recommends a referendum, and I think we should go to a referendum. I really feel that. We can take a vote on that.
Christian said made the ATV next board agenda. Add to it, you said add to the agenda and a discussion of the ordinance need to create ATV referendum be in November. That was another thing. There was 3 different things there. What I said, what you said, and what she said.
Well, I didn't make this. I mean, this is what Jennifer made for the agenda.
Arlen, didn't
I
you
didn't make the
vote
agenda.
for the referendum at the planning commission meeting?
I voted for it.
Or
Right.
the referendum, yes?
I did.
Yes.
I also voted to open them up at the planning commission. I was one of the 4 to 3 vote. That was the vote from the planning commission, 4 to 3.
So you don't care about waiting to see what the people that elected you want?
Well, I want this settled because it's been 2.5 years and everybody says you can't do this, you can't do that. Our lawyer says one thing, this lawyer says one thing, the DOT says one thing, DNR says one thing.
Okay, well, why don't we let our lawyer tell us? Okay, he's right
He
here.
has told us. We got
He's
the letter
here
from him
tonight
early.
to talk to us.
But now, let's go to this letter that we just got. 1, municipalities have the authority to establish ATV, UTV routes on any road or highway with a speed limit of 35 miles an hour or less within its territorial boundaries. So that means we can only allow it in subdivisions.
Agreed.
Municipalities have the authority to establish ATV routes on state and county highways with speed limits greater than 35 miles per hour. We're not a state or a county highway.
Agreed.
Okay. Municipalities may establish separate speed limits for ATVs and UTVs, and municipalities may enact additional restrictions on ATVs. I don't know, Larry, what's your thoughts on that section?
Well, but, I agree with what has been stated by Attorney Dirks. It's basically the same as I said in my letter of February 11th. And that is that if there is going to be an ATV or UTV route on a state or county highway with a speed limit greater than 35, it's subject to state or county approval. So it doesn't happen by the town all by itself. It requires state or county approval. So that is in fact what the statute says. But there's nothing controversial about that. So the town doesn't have a right to unilaterally make a county or state highway an ATV route all by itself.
I think we're talking just our own roads, town roads.
Then you have 35 miles an hour.
So then the roads that are posted 55 can have 2 speed limit signs on them, 155 and 135, or does the whole road have to be 35?
If it's a town road that's 55, it cannot become an ATV route. The town is only allowed to make an ATV route on a town road with a speed limit of 35 miles an hour or less, which basically excludes most of the major roads outside of the subdivisions. I mean, there may be some places that are 35, I don't know. But that's a statutory prohibition. We can't do otherwise.
What are the, obviously there's a lot of this going on in the state. What are these other townships? I mean, you must hear a little bit of what's going on with it. I mean, how are they passing these and letting them fly through, or they just say, we don't care, we're gonna gamble on it? I mean, what are they doing to do differently?
Well, I'll give you an example. I was up in Iron County this weekend.
Correct.
There are a lot of ATV routes out there, and some of them are county roads. There's nothing wrong with that if the county approves it.
County approved.
Yeah, and if the county approves it and the town approves it, it can happen. It doesn't happen unless both bodies approve.
So like when we get into, say, Greene County, Rock County, I think Lafayette County's got a bunch open over there.
Sure.
The county has already approved them counties.
Correct.
Okay. And
Right.
Dane County has not approved it yet.
Right, and at least on county roads, they hold the trump card. They can stop.
But even on their township roads, the county still has to approve it?
No.
No.
No, it's town owned.
So if, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go on, I'm done. I'm confused.
Yeah, don't even.
What is confusing?
So do I understand this right, that we would have to change our town roads to 35 to make it legal?
If you really want them all to be ATV routes, yes. Otherwise, no.
So the other townships are doing it, I mean, you see them riding on a lot of roads that are 55, and you're seeing UTVs on them, say in Lafayette County. How are these townships getting away with that? Because the county says they can? Because you just said the county can't tell the township what to do on the township roads. You're kind of saying two different things there,
No,
or I'm confused.
well, I don't
I mean,
know.
you're seeing the UTVs on 55-mile-an-hour roads in these townships. So how are they getting away with that and doing it?
Well, they're not doing it legally.
That was my question. They're just rolling the dice and doing it, or?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, I think we had 3 or 4 separate legal opinions in the last year that have been floating around, and I go through all the state materials, they all agree they're only supposed to be on roads, and of course, you know, you could do it in a village or a city too, where the speed limit is 35 miles.
So what happens in these other townships if something does happen? I mean, they can go back on it.
And they could, well, let's just say, for example, there was an accident. This is the easiest way to do this. Someone's riding an ATV at a 55-mile-an-hour road with no brake lights, because most of them don't have brake lights. At least that's my understanding.
That's wrong.
And well, do they all? I don't know. All I know is what I read in what the
I mean,
DNR
brake
is
lights
saying.
or no brake lights, I mean, just.
Well, the point is, they're riding
Yeah.
on the road, they're going 35, it's foggy, and a car comes up, rear ends them and kills them. Now, let's say the driver doesn't have insurance. And the smart attorney for the ATV rider looks and sees that, well, they're only allowing it by statute on 35-mile-an-hour highways. What's another deep pocket they can go after? The town. Now, it's a legislative decision, which normally cannot be reviewed. We're normally immune for legislative decisions. But, you know, a legislative decision that's contrary to state statute, there aren't any cases, but I can't say that makes me feel very comfortable. So I'm not saying someone's gonna sue you, for just having the road, or maybe they could. But in the case of an accident, and, you know, I mean, I saw the statistics, there's, what, 35 people killed on ATVs in the state of Wisconsin last year, for a variety of reasons. There's a possibility someone could look to the town.
But that's the same with vehicles, but bikes, you know, that's anything. I just wondered what could, you know, what was legal and what was not. So you're saying basically unless the roads are 35, we
you wanna follow the law, that's correct.
So I have right here Wisconsin State Statute 893.804. If you open up your roads, it creates immunity from liability for legislative decision from local government. So we're under immunity from that statute to being sued,
Well.
according to the Wisconsin Towns
I-
Association.
I know the statute.
I'm-
It's a good statute for towns. But the issue becomes, what if a town takes a legislative act that is objectively illegal? Now, there aren't any cases on that. I agree that normally legislative immunity would apply, and almost certainly would apply. There's also a $50,000 limit. You know, there's lots of defenses that exist, but I'm just saying, when you take something that is objectively prohibited by state law and make that your policy, are the courts going to say, well, I don't care how illegal your actions were, you have immunity, no matter, you know, I mean, you could dream up all kinds of terrible things that a legislature could do, and whether it's going to be, whether they find an exception from legislative immunity under that circumstance, I don't know. But it certainly is a can of worms, to say the least.
How does Jefferson County get away if they open up the whole county, every township in Jefferson County? The county board open up their whole county, and there's been other counties. How do they get away with it?
Jefferson County, just as any county, has a right to designate its county highways as.
What about their township roads? They're open, they're not, just not riding county roads, you're gonna have to go through township roads.
Right. Same thing. If you have if they're doing them on roads that are 35, that are more than 35 miles an hour, they're violating the statute. Simple as that.
This attorney here said municipalities may establish separate speed limits for ATVs and UTVs.
Correct. So for example, if you had, so you're on a 35-mile-an-hour highway, you got a legal place to do this. You could do it, this is what they're doing up north, I just saw it. You know, they'll say the ATV speed limit is 30 or 25 or 20. I'm not gonna say it's more than the speed limit for the highway. That's absolutely a lot.
And I can't do it from 55 to 35.
Well, not legally.
I was just in Prairie du Chien, and the speed limit on the road was 45, and there's 35-mile-an-hour signs all over. So
I don't doubt it.
It's hard to believe that there's so many other municipalities and townships that are willing to roll the dice on this. I mean, it's just, I know it's out there, and I'm
Gray area, I agree.
It's just hard to believe that there's so many out there that are willing to gamble.
Do we want to be the first town that's challenged?
the town of Cross Plains just opened them up in Dane County.
I'm just asking, do you want to be a representative
Sure.
of this town and have a big challenge?
Sure.
By having our attorney here and saying he doesn't
There's-
advise it?
There's other attorney, it's no different than anything else. You find an attorney that'll tell you one thing and you can go to another attorney. It's all in how you interpret
Okay,
it.
so did you see what our underwriter said? We have to follow our attorney and the state statutes, or they would not cover us if we were sued. Did you see that?
I did.
And how do you feel about that?
Obviously, there's other townships that are willing to roll the dice, and there's not
Okay,
been a
I was
lawsuit.
gonna save this to the end, now I'm new here, and this is gonna be recorded, and I'm kinda going out on a limb, because I'm usually pretty quiet. But now Brad, you've contacted every single member here, you haven't contacted me.
I haven't contacted everybody up there.
You have all of the board members, I
He
know
hasn't
you have.
contacted me.
Okay, then I see you come up and ask Arlen, are you ready? To
go
roll
to-
for
to go
tonight,
get
with
a-
whatever
to go
plan
get a
you
snowmobile
have.
groomer.
Stop.
No,
Let-
I'm
let
not
it-
done.
We'll let Arlen explain something.
I asked if he's asked me if I was ready to go north to get that snowmobile groomer.
Okay, I'm sorry. But it seems like there's been open
What it
meeting
seems
laws.
like and what it is.
It's been like there's been open meeting laws broken as far as this whole thing is involved. I don't think anybody has a right to vote if you have talked about this amongst
I
each
haven't
one
talked, I
of you.
haven't talked to any of these people.
Arlen and I have not talked to each other.
We have not
Jason and I
talked.
have not talked to each other about it.
Okay.
And I have not talked to you, and I have not talked to Wayne.
I talked to Brad the other day, but we were doing field work for his farm, but he has not called me. And I haven't talked to any of these guys on it.
Okay.
I'm really torn with this. I mean,
Yeah, I hear you.
it's tough. I would like to see it happen. I really would. But I just don't know, when you have a lawyer sitting here telling us one thing and he's supposed to be representing the town, it's tough. When you had the planning commission, and I know some of the planning commission members did not spend the time they should have on it, but I know one of the key members did spend a lot of time on it, and I know how he voted, and I mean, it's hard for me to not respect his decision. So, I mean, it's a tough decision. I'd love to see it happen.
If I could just say one more thing. I haven't found a single attorney who has said that towns have the right to establish ATV routes on highways with a speed limit of 55. There may be some, but the only ones that have been furnished to me, for the town of Barry, for Attorney Dirks, they say the same thing I'm saying. Now, if someone else has a different opinion, I'm happy to listen to it. But, I think I can read a statute. It's pretty doggone clear.
Well, and I said that at last month's meeting. It all depends on how each attorney looks at it. And that's why I'm so much more comfortable if we went to a referendum. I really am. Then we have a start. That's my feeling. If we get it from the public that they want it, then we build an ordinance. But if the public doesn't want it, I mean, right now, the way it reads, the way I take it is 35 miles an hour. That means you can go right in the subdivisions. But that also means anybody that is on the way I read it right now, anybody on the west side of Highway D, anybody on the west side of Fish Hatchery, anybody on the west side of CC cannot ride on the roads. Because them are county roads. That's a county road that splits.
Move on this.
What's that?
The county's ready to move on
The
this.
county's not gonna approve it. Pam Dunphy already told us she wasn't gonna. I
I'm
talked to
in
the village
contact with
isn't
them
gonna
all the
approve it.
time.
What's that?
I'm in contact with Pam Dunphy all the time.
Okay,
I talk
well-
to her today.
Can we
Okay.
all just talk and
But
move on?
we are
Does
going about,
somebody have to be-
the letter that Pam Dunphy sent us said they weren't approving it, so that's, I'm going by the last one.
Point of order.
So I'm going by the last one that was presented from Pam Dunphy.
I think
So
Jeff-
if there-
Point of order.
If there's current information, then she should share it with all of us. So we don't have many in the public tonight. I'd like to hear from the public.
Wayne, my question, I mean, you guys keep talking about referendum, so you put it to a referendum, the majority say yes. Okay, so what are you gonna build off of?
Well, that's where we have to start. I'm
Yeah, but
guessing,
I mean, that's where I'm just confused. I mean, the
Right.
majority said yes, what are you gonna build off of when we're all sitting here saying we don't?
right. I guess there's gotta be attorneys involved, figure it out. Don't know, never been in this situation, Jason, I don't know. I mean, if we're gonna do it, I wanna do it right, I just don't wanna throw it out there. I mean, to me, we have an insurance company that says no, we have an attorney that says no. I think we need to go one more step to protect the town. That's my feeling. I don't feel I'm representing my township if I vote yes when my insurance company and my attorney says no. Now, if we have a referendum, then I'd be for it. To figure out a way we gotta do it, I'd be for it. But I don't know,
I got it.
right now, I don't know how to do it and do it right.
I got it. So now if Dane County passes this or makes it go forward, then that still don't really change anything because you'd have to have roads at 35 miles an hour, correct?
Well, Dane County could pass it for Dane County roads.
For county roads only.
Correct. And by the way, I didn't say this, but there's a nuance here. If any of the town roads have bridges, bridges are, if you have to replace a bridge, the town is lucky, they get 50% of the funding for the bridge from the county. So if there's a bridge on a designated ATV route, then the county has to approve that, even if it's otherwise a simple town road. So the county has a lot to say about this, but for, if you have places where it's under 35, the board has the ability in its discretion to make that decision without fear of anybody saying they couldn't make that decision.
It sounds like we need the county to move forward with this and or the state to maybe do it a little safer.
Well, state has left this as a matter of local control. The county is the local control agent for county roads. The town is the local control agent for town roads, except where there are bridges, and then the county's involved there too.
Well, if we do move to go to a referendum, I think we have to have something for the people to look at, to say, we have a draft of an ordinance, and have it posted so they can say that we're 16 years and older with a driver's license or a permit. We're not letting 6, 7, 8, up to 15-year-olds ride. Certain things like we have to have a piece of paper that people can say, yeah, this is a good idea, I agree with it, or no. But there's got to be, you're putting the cart before the horse, but we need the horse before the cart, per se, in the situation.
Yeah, we discussed that at one meeting.
We did discuss that at one meeting.
And I think I guess I'm gonna ask the attorney, if we were to go to referendum, how vague do we have to get on this? How much information do we have to give on this referendum?
Well,
What's a legal thing?
yeah, if we compare this to, I don't want to say it, that's too complicated. It's probably helpful, although it's not mandatory to have an ordinance prepared in advance. It's very similar to the way cities and villages do it. If you were living in a city, you could file a petition signed by a requisite number of people that said, "Thou shalt adopt this ordinance." And if the city or village board says no, then they go to referendum. And if referendum passes it, it's passed. Towns don't have that same thing, but that's the obvious way to do it. So having an ordinance, I think, is probably a pretty good idea, although not mandatory. Number two, a decision needs to be made on whether to include the specific roads that would become ATV routes in the draft ordinance. That's not going to be binding, but I think if you want to give citizens enough information to understand what's going on, you probably want to have people go out and decide, well, yes, it's true, some towns just open up all the roads. A lot of others, I'm quite sure, I know of some of them, pick specific roads and say, these are the ATV routes, all other roads are not. Maybe this town of Berry one, and only 4 specific town roads identified. I don't know what the right number is, but I think it's useful if the board is willing to agree on what those roads would be, to identify them. And probably it would be smart to look at them and make sure they're safe. Because, again, not every road is as safe as every other road. Can you do it? Yeah, you can. But whether it's done right, I think it's better to evaluate the condition of the roads. Again, if you had a gigantic pothole in a road and you didn't fix it, and some ATV went through it, flipped over, and someone got hurt or killed, that's a highway case, and it's not subject to the statutory $50,000 liability limit.
you could say the same thing if a car hit it,
Yeah, but cars have big
or a bicycle,
Sure.
or a tractor, or any other vehicle that we have
Tractor's
riders in
not
it.
going as fast, of course.
I beg to differ. The tractors move, today's tractors move a lot faster than the tractors in yesteryears, and it could happen.
Okay.
Or a motorcycle. I mean, we're singling out the ATVs, but there's a broad of vehicles that use our town roads, and if they hit a pothole, it could happen to them just as well as an ATV.
What about the manufacturer's recommendations that ATVs are not designed to be on roads?
Want to speak?
I didn't hear the question.
What about the manufacturers and ATVs, UTVs being on the road?
I've got the sticker from my brand new one that says that they're allowed from Polaris. That if it is designated an ATV route, they're all for it.
Tim, what did you find out when you investigated all that?
The owner's manual on the top four manufacturers all said that their ATVs are not recommended for wheel travel, not designed for wheel travel.
For every model of those?
The owner's manual for dozens and dozens of models.
So if we were to go to a referendum and put some kind of a ordinance together, I don't mean a whole-fledged ordinance, but something to explain to the residents what's going on, can we change that after the referendum?
Sure.
You could tweak the ordinance after a referendum.
It's not a binding referendum by definition.
I mean, I hate to get attorneys involved and spend a lot of money building an ordinance before we go to a referendum. If it passed at a referendum, then I wouldn't have the problem doing it, I mean, that's.
We could use the referendum or the ordinance that was presented to us, right?
Well, I don't know what ordinance it was. I have the DNR model ordinance.
No, we've got one of our own.
I've got one from Barry that is definitely, you can tell, is modeled on the DNR ordinance. I haven't seen 100 of these things, but, there are certain things that.
But I'm just saying, you did put one together,
Yes, we did.
and I was just
That
saying.
ordinance is passed all over Sauk County.
Okay.
Is there, and I'm not Brad and I believe Tim, I think both of you are probably right. You're saying ATV, and I believe Brad is UTV. They're two totally different machines here that we're talking about. Yeah, a UTV is more like a small vehicle. An ATV is your common, and honestly, up until a couple of years ago, I didn't realize what a UTV was. I mean, UTV is a small vehicle. ATV is a dirt machine, a race machine, where I fully believe, Tim, where they're saying ATVs probably don't belong on roads. I think Brad's probably talking UTVs. Has anybody tried just, can he do just a UTV thing, or?
What's that?
Tim, did you look at
I don't know.
UTV or just ATV?
I couldn't say
It's up
for
to you. You
sure.
want me to give
Well,
something? Yeah, it's up to you.
That's some of the confusion I think we're running into, and I don't know if you're
Yeah, that's
familiar
okay.
with what UTVs actually, look like and are compared to an ATV. It's night and day difference.
I went to Engelhard, besides from my internet search, I went to Engelhard and looked at the actual vehicles, they have both types there.
I mean, there's a lot of these UTVs are, there's cars out there that are probably smaller than what these UTVs are.
Oh, for sure.
There really is. I mean, these UTVs they're big machines. I mean, I think the problem we run into is ATV. And I don't know how many of these people they're looking for this actually, that want this to move forward are on the ATV side of it. I think they're all UTV, if maybe I'm misspeaking for
I
everybody.
got two brothers that won't have four-wheelers.
And them are ATVs, aren't they?
And I have an ATV.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have a four-wheeler. It's
A four-wheeler's an ATV.
Yeah.
UTV's the ones that are like the small cars.
Right. Yeah.
There's
Price
a
of
big difference there.
I hear you.
Well, then they talk about how fast some of these go. I've got a Gator, 28 miles an hour, fast to go. And then they talk about hot rod.
From the public at large here,
Please state your name and address, sir.
How come he didn't have it?
I'm sorry, I didn't, I'm
He's
sorry.
been talking the whole time.
All right, go ahead.
Dave Frankson, 875 Hillcrest Lane, Oregon, Wisconsin. I have right now an owner's manual for the Polaris ATV. It says, never operate this vehicle on any public street, road, or highway, including dirt and gravel roads. That's for ATVs now. We're talking ATVs and UTVs. Now, from what I understand, the people that are trying to push, the small group that's trying to push this forward wants to include ATVs and UTVs on all the town roads. And I think it's important that you're having a discussion now. Should it include ATVs? Should it only be UTVs? And I mean, there are so many questions right now. I mean, I think giving the town, giving all the citizens the opportunity to weigh in on whether or not they want illegal ATVs on the roads, according to the manufacturer, whether they want UTVs legally on the road, which roads you want designated, what speed limits you want adjusted. All that time between now and the referendum, you guys could get that right. You guys could figure all that out and get it right instead of just saying, hey, let's just let everybody loose on all the town roads and we'll just figure out whether we're going to be sued later on.
So possibly put some kind of committee together? I don't know.
I don't know. You gave the plan commission a job to do, and
Right.
they did their job, and they provided the recommendation to the town board. And, you know, despite possible negative comments about whether some people worked hard on it or not, I mean, I have to assume all of their efforts were earnest and took into account all of the citizens in the township, not just a few that live on some country roads.
Well,
Wayne, I got a little concern with the referendum. I mean, it's, so it gets voted down, where does that leave us?
Same spot.
We're gonna have, and I think I brought this up before, we could put a referendum on, do we want bicyclists? You know, if we're legal with the UTV, ATV ticket, everything's legal. Okay, same as bikes, tractors, we could put this to a referendum, it gets voted down by the majority. Okay, but yet the state's saying it's legal. I mean, where does that leave? I mean, it's gotta be equal to everybody in the community. I mean, just because you have 500 people that want it and you got 1,000 that don't. I mean, I think everybody should have free access to the roads. I mean, if we can do it legally. And that's why putting it towards a referendum, I don't know. I think we need to, it needs to be legal and right. And you could put a referendum, and I said it before, on bikes. Do you want bikes on the road? I would guess it's gonna get shot down. The majority of people are it's been brought up here tonight, I believe by our, majority of people dislike bikes on the road.
what is the law with bikes, Larry?
Bikes are permitted on roads as long as they stay as far to the right side as possible or on the shoulder. And they're not a separate class. There's no separate regulation the way they are for ATVs.
Used to be, they had to have license. They don't have to have license anymore?
That's just my concern with the referendum. I really fully believe that it would probably end up getting voted down. And then we're back in this spot, and the group of people that want this to go through are gonna be very disappointed. Same with snowmobiles. I mean, you could probably throw that out there, and there's a lot of people that get upset with snowmobiles, going by their house, crossing the road, racing up the field.
So don't we go back to we're representing everyone?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And if more people don't want it, then that's the way it should be. That's democracy.
But that's
You
what I'm
can't help
saying,
it.
if there's a legal way of doing it, we're trying to represent everybody and make it fair for everybody. Because we could put, like I said, bicycles, we could throw tractors out there, we could throw walkers. I mean, should walkers be permitted on some of these backcountry roads that speed limits are 55? I mean, you can ask so many different questions, all that stuff's legal. So I'm saying if UTVs are legal to be on the road, why should we sort out that small group of people that would like the opportunity to to do
So
that.
the small group will win over the majority, is that the way? I don't understand, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Because
so
I
let's
think that
put-
it should be the majority.
I'm trying to
people.
compare it to like bicyclists and people walking. If you put all that to a referendum, all of that would probably get voted down also. The majority of the people, it's just a guess, are gonna say, we don't wanna see these bicyclists out on these country roads. It's a danger. We're going 55 miles an hour, we got farm equipment, people walking. I'm just trying to make a comparison there. And yet we still let that happen. I'm saying if UTV, ATVs are legal, or we can legally put them on the roads, I think we need to explore that option. I don't know if majority should necessarily rule, because there's so many other things you can look at where majority's not gonna rule. I'm saying it's gotta be legal. There's no question about that. None whatsoever. I said, I threw snowmobiles out there. There's a lot of people that don't like snowmobiles ripping around in the fields and crossing roads.
If
But-
I thought it was safe, and if I thought like 70–80% of the people in this town wanted it, I would have to think long and hard. Because I would like to say I would go along with the majority, because I think that's what I was elected for. But my question would be, I would feel so horrible, I don't think I could live with myself if
But
somebody
what
was
happens if the
killed.
state passes this, or the county saying this is legal? We can legally do this in our township.
Well, we haven't gotten that. So we can do all the what ifs for now.
That's why I'm saying, putting it forward to a.
I mean,
to
I
an
talk to
ordinance or a
people in
referendum.
subdivisions and they don't want it. There's a lot of people that don't want it.
But if it's legal, I'm saying, if it's legal, how do you deny them people of that privilege of being
Well,
able?
then you're gonna have to change the speed limits and do all that and see how people feel.
I don't know, it depends on what the state and the county would decide when they push it through. And right now, we don't know that. That's why I'm saying, putting this to a referendum, we're just not gonna gain a lot, I don't feel.
We don't know.
Until the state or county moves
We
forward.
don't know. We're gonna come up with some type of ordinance that gives them an idea. I think we need to ask the people that voted for us a chance to
But what are we
decide.
gonna gain by doing that, is what I'm getting at.
Well, fine, they get to say, they get to speak their voice.
But we don't even know what we're really asking,
We said that we were gonna spend time between now and November coming up with
but
something.
we don't know what's legal and what's not legal.
So what do you wanna do?
Well, I don't know, but an ordinance, I mean, putting it to a referendum, I just don't know what we're gaining.
Well, but the planning commission recommended it 61.
I think they're as confused, we're as confused as we all are, we don't know. There's just not enough rules out there yet, regulations.
Well, the deal is that rightly or wrong, the legislature has made a determination that ATVs are prohibited on roads
Correct.
completely, unless a local government makes a decision to allow it. So they're not exactly the same as tractors or bicycles. There's no law that prohibits them. This is a one category. Now, snowmobile routes should be approved too. We're not talking about those right now. But the point is, that the legislature has decided that ATVs are different for whatever reason. They made that decision, we're not making that decision. So and you have every right, following the law, to make a decision to allow them where it's legal.
Well, we gotta get moving here, be here all night. I mean, I'm in favor of following up plan commission recommendation, of going to a referendum.
Is that a motion?
I would make that a motion.
I would second that.
We got a motion on the floor to approve the ATV, UTV to go on for approval on the town roads to a referendum. Motion made by Wayne, second by Kate. I'll call roll call. Jason?
No.
Harlan?
No.
Wayne? Yes. Fred?
No,
Fred, no. And Kate was yes.
Yes.
So now what do we do? Mr. Attorney?
Excuse me. Well, for what it's worth, I received a document which I don't believe I've seen before, which is a recommended ordinance. And I haven't reviewed it yet. Obviously, the adoption of the ordinance is not on the agenda tonight. So I think that at least as to item 6B, that has been decided.
So that's been failed. So now we go to 6C. Discussion and possible approval if ATV, UTV ordinance is drafted, be a public hearing after it is drafted before action is taken by town board. Plan commission motion 7-0. 7-0.
I second that.
What's that?
Was that a motion?
No, I read it out
Oh,
of
okay.
this is on the agenda.
Okay.
If an ATV, UTV ordinance is drafted, there be a public hearing after it is drafted before action is taken by town board. That's what we need to act on next. Anybody got any questions or thoughts on that? Jason?
I'm still not in favor with going forward with this. I gotta go off what the planning commission's saying, I gotta go off what the lawyer's saying. I would love to see it happen, I really would. I think we gotta be fair to everybody in the township, and just because they're not the majority, I've already explained myself on majority-minority thing there. I think we gotta be fair to everybody, but I think we also gotta make sure that we are protecting the township and it's right. I would love to see it happen. I just think we're not quite there yet.
I guess I don't follow you.
You don't?
Well, you're telling me.
I would
you don't-
like to see this happen, but
You
we're
wanna
not.
see it happen, but we're not there yet.
Talking about this public hearing.
He's telling us we're not really legal to go forward with this.
Correct.
Legally.
Correct.
Okay, I'm saying I would like to see it be legal and us be able to do it, but we can't. Here, but based on what he's telling us.
So your no vote is,
No on the referendum, because I don't feel that's.
we're off the referendum, we're on C now.
Correct.
Okay, so we're done on B. C is, if the ATV, UTV ordinance is drafted, there be a public hearing after it is drafted, before the town board takes action.
So, now I'm confused.
Well, that's why you confused me.
I maybe misunderstood there a little bit.
Okay. That's why I was confused, sorry.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood.
Okay, so read C yourself.
I did.
Okay.
I guess I'm just a little bit totally lost on
There
this.
would have to be an ordinance, or there would have to be a vote in order to go to draft an ordinance, which you guys can't do tonight. But this one is saying if that ever comes to fruition, that it would go to public hearing before you guys made it an actual ordinance, before it was
Right.
approved.
So we put an ordinance together, have to have a public hearing, and then it comes back to the board to vote on it. That's the way I understand this line reads. Is that the way you take it? That's how I take it. Sorry to confuse you.
I'm still confused too.
So what this says is somebody will draft an ordinance, which Arlen's already got one
Yep,
drafted. So if we accept this ordinance, it goes in front of a public hearing.
Okay,
And then after the public hearing, it comes back to the board to vote on it.
all right.
That's what that sentence reads. Am I saying that right, Larry?
Yep.
I guess I'm just slow to
No,
I'm not being rude, I'm just trying to explain to you what.
No,
how I
so
see
the
it.
question to me is what? So do I approve that?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So that's when you were saying no, so I ain't gonna go no farther. We got your answer. Arlen?
Yeah, I'm being on the planning commission also, we voted 7-0 to do this, and I think that would be a good idea, once it's all settled, to have a public hearing before it comes back, and the planning commission should hold a public hearing before it comes back.
Fred?
Yep.
Kate?
Yes.
So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we draft letter C. If the ordinance is drafted, will there be a public hearing after it's drafted before the town board take action?
Got a motion from Fred, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Kate, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, item 7, communication of Dane County Board, Jerry Jensen, or Jerry Molly, sorry, Jerry Jensen. Glad to see you, Jerry Jensen.
Oh, he is here.
I have no communication.
Okay.
Go with him.
Former town chair.
Hi, everyone. My stuff isn't gonna be nearly as exciting as what you've been talking about, but it'll be quick. So right now, everybody is probably anxious to hear about the Dane County Fair after not having a fair last year. I don't think it won't have the rides and everything else like it had before, but the big thing that they wanted to accomplish this year was to have something for the kids. And so all the animal exhibits are gonna be there, and all the dairy stuff is gonna be there, and there will be some exhibitors, there will be some food trucks and things like that. So it'd be a good time if you wanted to go see the fair. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. There is a little hitch in it. During the pandemic, the Alliance Center basically shut down. And there's basically all new management there. And they let everybody go, and so what they did is they hired a private setup firm. And last week, the setup firm showed up to set the fair up, and they gave the bill to the manager, and the manager fired him because the bill was more than the fair would take in. So now they're scrambling up there this week because they're gonna set that up. They called in as many of the former employees as they could, and put them back on the payroll, and they're gonna set it up themselves. So hopefully, I talked to Dick Straub, the president of the fair today. I talked to Danielle, who is the manager of the fair today. And they're both a little excited about the scramble, but it's gonna work out. County board, there's only one meeting in July and one meeting in August. The big thing right now is they've stopped the jail because the construction costs have gone out of sight. It's like everything, right? You know what it's like to be in that business. So the subs are all demanding more money, so more or less, let's put it on pause, and they're gonna probably make it a downsize a little bit. In zoning, we've got a zoning petition that may be of interest to you over in not Cross Plains, on the east side of Dane County, Cottage Grove. Thank you for this. Good one. There's a petition to set up a 2,000-acre solar array, and everybody around that thing is just wild about it. All the neighbors, none of the neighbors want it. So that's going to be an interesting public hearing in zoning when that happens. So that's all I have. Anybody have any questions for me?
Have you any questions for him? I will say the Stoughton Fair was a huge turnout.
Yeah.
Stoughton Fair was unreal,
Yeah.
unreal.
Everybody's anxious to do something now.
Yes, yeah. Which was very good for everybody, all the vendors.
And the hot weather's over.
Yeah. Thanks, Jerry.
Can we have a fair without hot weather?
Yeah. Discussing possible approval of the 2021 renewal alcohol beverage license, Class B combination for JDB Golf LLC, Foxborough. Jennifer, you got anything, or Stephanie, you got anything to tell about this? Sorry.
Yes, I do. So we have these, all of them are the same as as last year, so they didn't get any new bartenders or anything. And we have the criminal record background check back for Brooke, because you just that on him, and there's nothing on it, it's included in your packet. But we do not have the Department of Transportation background checks available to us yet. This needs to be filed by the end of this month, so I guess I would recommend that you would recommend approval based on whether the DOT background checks come out in favor, and then you basically do a final decision in August if you wanted to do it that way.
Might I suggest?
Yes.
The easier way to do it
Yeah.
would be to do a deferred effective date approval. So it's effective when the paperwork is handed in.
Perfect.
So it doesn't matter whether it's in August, September, or
That's
before
a
the
great
end of the month.
idea.
It's approved, but they don't get it until they get their other.
Thank you, that's perfect, that works. So effective.
Can you repeat that in a motion, Fred?
Well, I think the idea is that you move to approve the renewal of the alcohol beverage licenses as noted in the agenda item. And which one is the one that has the problem? Is it Foxborough or the other?
It is the Foxborough
Okay, and approve the license, but defer the issuance until such time as satisfactory DOT
Yes, DOT background check.
is completed on the applicant.
Yep.
Somebody want to make that motion?
I'm still going to repeat it, but I'll make that motion that whatever Larry just
Okay,
said.
got it.
Got a motion from Fred, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Arlen, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there another paper for this? Oh, I'm sorry, Terry. I'm sorry, I see it now. 10, discuss some possible approval of resolution of the number 09-2021 BCP loan for $325,000 for financing road equipment and road work.
Question.
We discussed this, yes, sir.
I see the one letter I got, email, said it was a 4-year. I thought we were keeping them either a 2 or 3 years. No.
I think she presented it at 4. We talked about 3, but I thought she presented it at 4.
We're getting a long way, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I think she went 4 to keep it kind of the same amount that we're paying each year now.
Yes, it is for the loan to be continued for a term of 4 years from the 15th day of March preceding the date the loan is made.
If we go back to 3, how much does that increase our payment? I think she was trying to keep the levy the same, Arlen, so she kept it. I hear you too, I agree with you.
I don't like that 4-year longer. We gotta start paying for our stuff, you know.
I mean, we can go back to, we can do it 3, but it's gonna raise the levy. It's gonna raise taxes.
That's gonna happen anyway. To get our roads done right,
Yes,
it's gonna have to happen. You know, people know that, you know.
I know, but I mean, we're just stretching over 4 versus 3. How much difference it is, I don't know. She did show us, I thought she had that information last meeting, but I don't remember what it is
I
off the
don't
top of my
have
head.
that,
No.
I just have the application.
I mean, what's everybody else feel comfortable with? I mean, she can change the figure on I mean, the loan amount ain't gonna change. That's what we gotta prove tonight. We can change the years, that's just change the amount of payment.
Tonight is the application and signatures, and this is the actual loan documents. So
Okay,
if you wanted to change it, you have to,
have another meeting.
yeah, it'd have to be different then.
Jason, what's your thoughts?
I'm fine
keep it the same, the 4 years.
Fred?
That's what's presented to us, that's what we have, that's the loan amount. That's what we gotta go with, so I say go with 4. We ain't gonna have another meeting.
Okay. Okay. So I need a motion to approve it to go on a 4-year loan.
I'll make a motion to approve the loan number 05605533 for $325,000 for financing road work and equipment
For 4 years.
for 4 years.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Jason, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, somebody saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
It's gotta be roll call vote.
It's gotta be roll call vote,
That's what it
okay.
says.
I'm sorry, Jason? Yes. Arlen?
No,
Wayne, yes. Fred?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Were you no?
Arlen, no.
Thanks.
I'm thinking about this. And maybe Larry can help me on this. Did everybody have to vote yes to get this approved?
No.
No? Okay. I thought there was a
But
comment.
everybody has to sign the paperwork.
Okay.
And he's
do I have
got,
to sign the paperwork even though I
yeah,
voted
you
no?
got,
Yes,
you have
but-
the special spot to sign it for the
It
no.
will be, there's, the actual minutes will be included in this, and then it says right here which way you voted. So I'll fill that in before you
How
sign.
about on this one?
On what one?
I voted no on this. This too, and I,
That's, I mean,
What's this?
it's just for the payment of the vouchers.
Okay.
So it's noted that you voted no for that project, but it passed.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
I will.
So does he have to put- Does he sign this and say no, or does he not need to sign it?
He just, but I mean, it went through, so that's just the payment of it. You can sign it no if he wants to, but it's not on any.
you guys, it'll go through anyway.
It already did. It was already voted for, so.
Okay. 11, update and codification of the town ordinances. Is there anything different on that?
She has sent them out on several occasions,
Right.
I guess, so I don't know if you guys, we do have if you guys had any questions about it, but, we do have a hard copy of it in the office.
Okay.
And if you guys want us to make you hard copies.
Yeah, I really haven't
that's fine.
studied him, so I'd like to
Okay.
see him. Maybe everybody, I think everybody should. Have you studied him? I think we should all look at him first before we approve it.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say get everybody a hard copy.
You would like to defer that then?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, discussing the possible approval of increased insurance deductible from 500 to 1,000. If you do look, you'll see a letter from the insurance company that's what he recommended. He did call me today and talk to me about it. And he said, with our park equipment and stuff, $1,000 deductible would be good versus going to the 2,500 and 5,000, so it wouldn't be enough of a savings, so. If you guys think different, that's fine, but that's what the agent recommended we do. Anybody got any thoughts or questions on that?
Nope, if you look at the paperwork, that's the best bang for your buck. If you look at the amount of money that we're gonna save compared to the deductible, $1,000. It's like the best one for me that I would go for.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion and we change our deductible from $500 to $1,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Kate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 13, Fire and EMS, Oregon, working on the contract. The other municipalities have had some questions about it. I have not, because the guy who wrote it is sitting over there, so I feel he's in our best interest, so I don't need to study the whole thing. They are working on changing the rates for volunteers to $15 an hour. We found at the last meeting that Belleville's paying 18, so. You'll get all updated on the equipment, replacements, and all that stuff in our meeting on the 21st. That's all written up and printed out, so I'm not even gonna go through that. I think a lot of that's probably in your book here, but we'll get that on the 21st. Belleville, Jason?
I was not at the last meeting, I was at the meeting here. They did switch insurance companies, they were with Rural Mutual. I gotta apologize, I did not bring that with me tonight, I'll have to bring it at the next one. They went with a different company that saved them a fair amount more money. So I wasn't involved with it, I don't know if they were really comparing apples to apples, but they thought something. I'll bring the paperwork up next time, and if it's something we wanna look into a little bit or not.
Well, you can look at it, and if you think it's worth us looking at it, then you make the recommendation.
Yeah, the roll was quite a bit higher, like I say, I wasn't in, Ted and, Brooklyn, Ted Kay, Steve Miller,
Steve Miller, yep.
they were the ones working on it. I would assume they compared apples to apples, and Steve used to be an underwriter, I believe.
Yeah, I guarantee if Steve Miller was involved, he compared everything, because he's pretty sharp.
It saved them a fair amount of money, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, if you're good with it, I mean,
Alright.
you don't need to bring it to us. If you're not, then, make us aware. Anything else?
No, that was the only major thing there.
Okay, Brooklyn, Fred?
You guys all received an email with the strategic plan. I'd like you guys to look at it and see what you think, and so we can go forward with that. We have a strategic plan meeting tomorrow night to talk about if we want to change anything on it again. I do know that we got the Brooklyn old police car. We got it from Wisconsin auction surplus.
Where'd you get it?
I couldn't tell you how much we paid for it, but we met and made an agreement that I think we were going to spend $9,000, and we increased that up to $15,000. But I know it wasn't $15,000; it was somewhere in between there, like 12. Mark would probably have a better idea. And the new strategic plan actually has got it in there that we would hire a full-time chief as part of the strategic plan. So we'll have that to decide in our meeting at the end of the year. And the Brooklyn clerk brought up that she thinks that a elected official should be at the annual meeting to make our decisions instead of who we appoint. And I reiterated that Mark O'Brien is our appointed official. We can all still go to the meeting, but he is who we have representing us there, and didn't feel that a village or township should be able to tell us who we have represent us at a meeting.
That's in the agreement.
And it's in the agreement, and you were there at a meeting last year, and Kim from Town of Union said the same thing, so. But other than that, that's all I got.
Good job. Anybody got any questions for anybody? Moving on. Park Committee, Steve?
Our next meeting is Monday, the 12th.
This coming Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we will be looking at partial funding for the mower truck and mower and committee member replacements.
Okay.
And I want to thank the board, I want to thank the town crew for what they've done on the trails for the town park and the bicentennial park. They've really done a good job, and our mower has done a more representative. Summer hire has been doing a real good job.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Plan Commission? Arlen?
Approving petition, public hearing one for Rundy. We had Brian Standing was here working with the land use plan. He's going to be here each month for the next 5-6 months working with us on that. And letter to CARPC, July 8th at 7 o'clock is their meeting on that. So, but otherwise, working on just stuff like that. The plan, or the land use plan, is the thing we're gonna get done. We're trying to get done by the end of the year.
Okay. Anderson Farm Park, anything to report?
I wasn't there, so.
I was there yet.
Okay, nobody was there. Council report, Kurt's not here. Public Works, Hillcrest is done. There's one layer on Tony Lane. I'm guessing they're going there tomorrow, I don't know for sure, but,
Something like that.
the seal coating's done. The guys have been shouldering, finally started shouldering. So working on that. That windstorm to help Ryan move trees off of Sun Valley Parkway and Judd Road, him and I did that. There's troubles with the Ford truck. The def pump went out, and injector went out. That's at Madison. Have no idea what it's gonna cost yet. I talked to him today about, we got quite a few signs that are getting covered with brush to get them cleaned away. And potholes on Sun Valley Parkway. And to keep your ears open and eyes open, we're gonna need to find a snowplow or two for this winter, so keep your ears open if you think of anybody. I don't know if we should put it on the website, may not hurt. I guess I would advertise it as same as last year's salary for part-time help. That's what we should do. I mean, we always keep part-time help the same, whether it's new or old, we keep the part-time help the same. So. Then we got any questions on that? Torque, Fred?
There's a resident, I got an email 2 weeks ago that they was questioning when you whether let the Torque employees know if he was a resident or not. And he said that somebody punched the card, that didn't punch their card, doesn't matter. So he was back again this last week, and he is a town resident, and he proved that he was, but he doesn't contact the Torque employees about what he's got. So usually, something you go, if you're unloading into the ash dumpsters, they like to see what you got so they know how to charge accordingly, and he just started dumping. So I got a phone call from Dave Dillman this afternoon telling me that that was going on. So just to keep everybody aware, if you get a phone call, Dave and him had a discussion about it, and that he needs to contact the Torque employees before he starts emptying his vehicle. But other than that, everything else seems to be going good.
All right, thanks. Anybody got any questions for Fred? Senior Center report, we finally met. Just moving forward, all we really talked about was new building replacement. There's gonna be a new contract coming out that we're gonna have to look at here soon. In fact, you probably got a copy of it. I told Jennifer to send a copy, I'm sorry, Stephanie. Did you get that email? I forwarded it to you to send everybody a copy of that.
Yes, it's up here.
Okay.
It's right here.
So we gotta look at that.
Agreement.
And they'll talk a little bit at the annual meeting. So it hasn't been changed for several years, so look through it and see if there's anything that you want changed.
5-year agreement that we signed, correct?
Yep, and now they're debating if they should go just a year or 2 years. I'm sure we'll discuss this tonight at the big meeting, because that's the plan commission or the.
Suppose they want to go only short term since they're talking about building a new building.
Correct, yep. And Kate will be getting the information now, because I put Kate on the senior center for her job duty, so. But it was good to meet and talk some things out, so. But there really wasn't nothing discussed, it more or less get together and get caught up. Assessor services, I don't think there's anything there. I mean, we all know what's coming up. Like that this day. Bill inspection services. Anybody got any questions? 23 is town board assignments, didn't change much. Changed one person's name. Anybody got any questions on that? Board communications and future agenda items. Got a card here that I'll read. It says, thank you for the lovely plant and the very thoughtful card. In moments of sorrows in the family of friends who bring love and peace. Thank you sincerely, the family of Kenneth F. Eggman, Lois, David, and Denise. I don't know if you guys want to see it. It's up here. Anybody else got anything for future items? I don't.
Will we have to have our lawyer read that ordinance and give us our recommendation on that ordinance?
I would think so. Yeah, I almost think we should do something like that, and then I don't know if we can get on next month's agenda to have a public hearing next month, or I don't know what your time frame is.
Excuse me, I could certainly review it in the next month.
So then we put on the agenda,
To see what is,
just what a recommendation is.
yep.
And then go the following month with the public hearing.
We haven't adopted an ordinance yet, we ain't gonna have a
Right.
public hearing until after the ordinance is adopted, so.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is, I review the ordinance for things that I think should be changed, I'll send back a revised copy. Obviously, we have a new code, needs to be put in the right place in the code. I haven't seen the new code, but I'm sure I can figure that out. Once it comes back, you have to decide how much notice you want to give for the public hearings. This is the statutory hearing. You could have one notice, you could have three, you could just have it on your website, you can do whatever you want. So you don't have any rules for what kind or how many notices you have to publish.
Well, why don't you give the clerk's office an update, like in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, see where you're at, and see if it can be done, and add it to the agenda then.
Okay.
If you can't get it done,
I
then
think the
we'll-
first time we should just go over that ordinance to begin with before we even talk about
Okay.
a public hearing.
That sounds good. Okay. 25, approval of payment vouchers. Okay.
So moved.
Motion from Fred, is there a second?
A second.
Second from Harlan, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Clerk's report, loan update,
I don't have a clerk's report.
okay? Deputy clerk's report.
I have all the reports.
The loan update's on the back page.
Yes, it is.
27,
So moved.
got a motion from Fred to adjourn at 7:56. Is there a second? Second from Jason, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're adjourned.